Third down and 20.
What is going on? Welcome back, episode 28 of the 3rd and 20 podcast. My name is Frank Entwistle. We've got the main man here, Ryan Steed. What's going on, Ryan? How you doing?
Pretty good. Ready to get it rolling.
Dude, crazy week in the NFL last week. A lot of blowout kind of score lines. It was, especially in those 1 o'clock games, not a ton of close games, really. Just teams getting blown out. Darren Fells dropping wide open touchdowns for Deshaun Watson in the end zone. Just a whole lot of mistakes this late in the season from some decent football teams, too. I was expecting some cleaner football. Anything that you want to highlight real quick before we get into the episode, Mr. Steed?
Yeah, I think the Saints-Eagles game from that 1 o'clock slate really caught the eye because we talked about it a little last week that the Eagles did have a shot to win this game. Like, their defense is legit, and Jalen Hurts, who we think fits this system better than Carson Wentz, was able to move the ball. They have a legitimate shot, and I think at the first half it was 17-0. I mean, Saints kind of came back, and it was only a 3-point game at the end of the day. But I felt like the Eagles, most crucial game of their season by far to really make this move to their playoff push, really came out and showed out today. And great showing for Jalen Hurts for his first career win against the Saints too. First career start against the Saints, and that defense, you've seen quarterbacks this year struggle, like elite quarterbacks who've been elite for years struggle against that defense, and for a rookie to come in there and do what he did, pretty impressive.
I mean, yeah, I'll give him credit. He was running the ball really well. I didn't really expect him to do that against the Saints, especially with how good their front seven is. But
Yeah.
he was running all over the field. He ended up getting over 100 yards on the ground. I think there were still some issues that he had throwing the football, but it was definitely way more efficient than Carson Wentz. You got to give him credit. Rager, this was definitely one of his better games as an Eagle. They were struggling to get him involved, and he was able to make plays. Alshon Jeffrey caught a touchdown, which I think shocked everyone. Eagles, man, maybe they can keep this division push alive. I don't know. They're going to need some help from the other teams in that division losing. But at the end of the day, when you got a bunch of losing football teams, if you win, especially with that tie, you really never know. And especially because the Washington football team has got a really tough matchup here up against the Seahawks. I'm pretty sure the Eagles still play the Washington football team at the end of the season. So that'll be a game that they can get back after losing week 1 to that team. Maybe they're able to stay alive. Who really knows? Jalen Hurts has obviously just given them a spark. And like you said, that defense is truly, truly legit. For those of you on YouTube that are watching, you'll notice we have the new setup going. It's not fully complete, but it's definitely a step in the right direction. So I'm hoping that you guys will enjoy the new setup. And as it says on the bottom, the first topic that we are going to be getting into is Sam Darnold. And this episode, we're doing a Sam Darnold film analysis. And I will say, first off, this is easily the toughest film analysis I have done to date for many reasons. I think the first one being that the Jets are just a really bad football team. Plain and simple. I don't think that shocks anyone, but it just has to be said that this is a really, really bad football team. Wait, what's going on here? Here we go. All right, some technical difficulties with the new setup, but here we go. So the first thing that I want to point out, and I'm not going to spend the entire Sam Darnold film analysis on this, but it just has to be said that the schemes that this team runs are just bad when you compare them to other teams in the league. And the first example that I want to show is this naked boot that is really popular in the NFL nowadays. I'm going to show an example comparing the same concept against the Rams. I'll play it for you here. So what's going to happen here, watch this. We can draw on the screen too. You're just going to have This guy sneak across into the flat. Oh, wait. Gotta get it on this screen. Bang. He's going to sneak into the flat. This tight end here is going to just go down with the line. You're going to have all these linemen going to the left, and he's going to sneak out in the flat, and you're going to get a corner over here with this over. Play action to the left, Darnold rolling out to the right, right? This is a staple concept for NFL teams nowadays. Every team is running this stuff, and Sean McVay has made it immensely popular in the league. And you're going to see here, the big problem is that you're going to have this pass rusher just get in Darnold's face, and he's not going to be able to make a throw. And he has some, you're going to have this open to Perryman if you give him time. And I was looking, I'm like, the Jets play action in general is just bad. So I went and I watched the Rams, and I'm like, what's the difference between how the Rams run this and how the Jets run this? And the biggest example I saw, let's see when they get to snap the ball here, is this tight end here. This tight end that's going to initially fake like he's blocking and then pop out for, because you're going to have two flats. You're going to have him here and the outside flat, and this tight end here on the inside. So Goff can either, if nothing's open down the field, because you're going to have this clear out and this over, it's the same concept. And if this over and this deep route aren't there, you can just hit the flats, right? You're going to have one here and then one here. You have two options. And this flat here, this guy, is what Sean McVay has made so popular. And the difference that I saw between the Jets and the Rams is that they're going to have this tight end push this D end inside. You see how he pushes him and really sucks him down and actually blocks him down? And look at all the space that it gives Jared Goff to roll out. If you have him come up, then you have guys wide open. You just replace the space that rusher gives with the football. And it's really nice, and it works a lot for this Rams football team. This is just a staple that they run. And look at what the Jets don't do. They have two tight ends over here. None of them touch, I believe this is Crosby. None of them suck him down. You can see no one blocks him. So he's able to just get up the field and get in this throwing lane for Darnold when he would have this over route open.
Mm-hmm.
And you could just see the difference between the Rams are a team that's able to hit this. It's open. He's able to hit it because he has space to throw the ball. The Jets aren't able to hit it because there's a pass rusher on this naked boot in his face. And just in general, I just don't really like the Jets scheme because not only is their play action terrible, it's supposed to be your quarterback's friend, and it is just really, really bad. Adam Gase's answer in general to pass rush is just to block more guys instead of changing the concepts on the back end. So what you're going to see here, you're going to have just a cross blitz, right? This guy is going to come inside. Keep drawing on the wrong screen here. This guy, here we go, is going to come inside, and you're going to get a cross like that, right? This is a concept that's not as popular in the NFL nowadays, but, my Steelers ran this a ton under Dick LeBeau. And you're going to see that the Jets have all these guys in pass protection. You can count them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 guys blocking with 6 guys rushing. And they get a clean rusher, and Sam Darnold has no chance, right? And this is what I don't like about the Jet scheme is that you're running play action. You're blocking 8 guys, yet you can't give your quarterback time.
Yeah, that cannot happen.
This kind of stuff just needs to change. And the pass pro, I've heard everyone say that their offensive line is better than last year. I really don't think it is. Just from what I've seen on tape, and you're going to get a play here
Yeah,
where
I mean
let's not,
a stat about their pass protection from the last year to this year is that Sam Darnold's sack percentage has climbed uh, It's increased from 2.5% from 7% last year to 9.5% on dropbacks, where he's getting the old sack. So yeah, that narrative of their O line being better than it was last year is just clearly false.
Yeah, it shows up on tape, especially recently. They're starting a backup left guard who's honestly just been atrocious. I don't really know the name of him. I'm pretty sure they were on their third string right tackle. And the Jets team is bad enough. When they are starting backups, that's how you know you're really in for trouble. And even when they kind of give Darnold time, right? He has some time. Adam Gase is calling so many long developing concepts that you're not going to be able to really hit these with the offensive line of the Jets. Here's a concept. They have this deep post. He's going to cross the field to this safety right here and be wide open. But you can see that Sam Darnold has to evade this rusher. Then there's another rusher that has to come, so he has to climb the pocket, and he's not able to hit what eventually becomes a touchdown opportunity solely because the offensive line just doesn't give him the time to hit this guy deep. This safety falls a little bit, and by the time it's open, Sam Darnold, it's too late. You just weren't able to hold up. And this is the main reason why I think a lot of people don't like Adam Gase is because with the personnel that he's got, these vertical concepts that he wants to call every game, they just can't run them. They're not hitting them really any games, and it's just infuriating to watch. And here's where it kind of just all comes together, right? Um, on this play, you're going to get the Seahawks from last week. They're just going to blitz everyone. All these guys come. And what is Sam Darnold going to do with the football? Not only granted, they have two little guys in pass pro, but no one's head is turned around. Where is he going to go with the football? There's no outlet for Sam Darnold. And this was a huge problem last year that other people had pointed out that they're calling vertical concepts without a little outlet for him to go with the football.
Hmm.
What the hell is he going to do? What is he going to do? No one's head is turned around. Like, you can't blame him for taking the sack there. It's third down. You don't want him to take a sack near the goal line, but it's better than a pick at least, right? Like, and this is
Yeah,
just all the problems with the Jets coming together. All right, but aside from Adam Gase, for the most part, I'm sure that in some of these clips coming up, I'll have some things to say about him. But let's get into the problems with Sam Darnold, right? One of Sam Darnold, I had two really big problems with on tape, aside from the fact that the Jets just suck, like at all
pretty
places.
bad.
The first one is that he has tunnel vision a little bit, especially on these deeper concepts, and he struggles to read defenses post snap a lot of the time when he's trying to stretch the field. And here's the example that everyone's going to point to last week where Jamal Adams almost drops an interception. And what you're going to get here is it's actually, I've been going over this a lot because we saw this with Taysom Hill, but you're going to get a deep post that's going to cross the safety's face, right? And you're going to get a dig in behind and a flat. And Jamal Adams is going to be dropping and playing this cover one robber with the safety over the top here, right? Pretty standard stuff. And what Sam Darnold is going to assume is that this Jamal Adams, he's going to go and then run with this post across the field. He's thinking, okay, Jamal Adams is going to run with this guy, and then it's going to create space for the dig in behind, a little window for him to throw it here. And that's not what happens. Jamal Adams, all pro level safety, is able to read the concept and where they want to go with the football and realize, okay, Sam Darnold isn't going to throw this deep post. He's going to hit the dig in behind, and then he just drops the interception. And it happens. This just happens when you play quarterback at this level. It's tough. But he just needs to see that Jamal Adams is not taking the bait on this post, and he's completely sold on this dig. And
Yeah,
if he decides to throw this post over the top, look at all of this space. way over here. He has all this space to make a big play and really put the Giants in a good position at this point in the football game. And he's just not able to do that. And this came up consistently on film. It's just his struggles in trying to stretch a defense vertically, both with his eyes and with his arm. He's just not reading it fast enough. And here's another example where I had a problem where he just doesn't really maneuver safeties and pick the right vertical concept because Adam Gase is dialing him up all the time. And here, he's going to want to hit here. He already threw it, but he's going to want to hit this deep route to Perryman down the field, right? But what he doesn't see is this safety, look at his leverage. He's playing on this near hash, right? The safety's already cheating towards where he wants to throw the ball. But B, look at all of this space for this corner route right here, who has great leverage. He already has 1.5 yards of separation. He initially looks here, but it doesn't really move the safety at all. And then this is just a problem with Sam Darnold in this scheme. Is that he's not really making the right decisions when he's making these throws vertically down the field. Like, this safety is cheating way over the top over here. You have an entire half of the field of space to throw this ball into. And I think that is the big difference that I saw between Sam Darnold on tape and Joe Flacco, is that Joe Flacco, yeah, he's not a perfect quarterback. And, it's Joe Flacco, right? We've already seen what he's got. But Joe Flacco, specifically against the Patriots, hit some of these throws where he realized, okay, safety's cheaping over the top this way. I'm going to maneuver him this way and hit the corner route with space, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it just happens time and time again, and it is killing this offense that he's not hitting these guys. And then here's probably the most egregious one, where he sees it. He's looking over here. He just gets off it right when Jamison Crowder starts going open on this wheel route. These are plays that win you football games. He's wide open. That's a touchdown. And that was
No
just the
idea.
biggest difference between him and Flacco, is that Flacco would occasionally hit some of these throws. Yeah, Flacco made all the same mistakes as Darnold in terms of, like that Jamal Adams throw where he wouldn't read a safety's leverage correctly and almost throw a pick. He had like a pick on the same concept to J.C. Jackson, I believe it was, on the Patriots during that Patriots game that was dropped as well. But he hit a few of these. And this is what Adam Gase needs out of Darnold to hit, and he's not getting it. The other second major problem that I saw with Sam Darnold is just his ball placement, especially outside the numbers or on the run. I'll give you an example of both, is bad. He throws it to the wrong shoulder, and it is a large reason why he throws interceptions. So here we're going to see, this is week 3 against the Colts, Xavier Rhodes pick 6. He's just going to throw it to the inside shoulder. Now, it's great coverage by Xavier Rhodes. That's to his inside shoulder. This ball needs to be over here. And at the end of the day, this is just a bad throw from Darnold.
Yeah.
This is a
Terribly
play that
placed.
could have been an incompletion, and it turns into 6 points against you. Here's an example I saw on the run. Now, this is a problem he's had at USC. In my notes, when I evaluated Sam Darnold coming out, one of my biggest concerns was on the run, especially to the right, his ball placement is bad. He's great at escaping the pocket. He's great at buying time. And he makes some awesome plays when he does it. But for as many awesome plays, he has a play like this. Great. Okay, escape the pocket. Buy some time. This is an awful throw. That's not bad. That is awful. And this
That
is
is,
killing this football team.
yeah, that's just downright terrible right there. Jesus Christ.
And these are just two major issues with Darnold that I have that show up time and time and time again.
Yeah.
And I understand the Jets have done him no favors, right? They got rid of his favorite deep target in Robbie Anderson from last season. The offensive line, yeah, they drafted a left tackle, but he's meh. Yeah, he oozes potential. He's great. Don't get me wrong. He has some great reps. But he also has bad reps, and those issues are amplified when he's on the blind side. Aside from the fact that the rest of offensive linemen probably wouldn't start on a single other team in the NFL. Their
Yeah.
tight end play is awful. Probably the worst tight end play in the league. Their receivers, the only one that can really consistently beat man coverage one-on-one over the top is Jamison Crowder. And in that Seahawks game, they doubled him. And then when you get all these problems together, this is the third issue, which is really only manifested this year, is that Sam Darnold starts trying to do too much in one play. You know, you start going down big, and you want to make it all up in one play. We have this deep post called. You're going to get another play action. You're going to get this deep post. Over, flat. He's going to have the over and the flat wide open. But we're down 2 scores. I got to make something happen. Evades the rush with his shoulder. Great job. Step up in the pocket. Throw it into double coverage. Just take the yards, man. Don't make it all up in one play. I think that because they're down big in these football games and the offense isn't moving, nothing's happening. He feels he has to carry the team. He starts trying to do it all in one play. But on the bright side, let's get to the bright side, right? Those are really his only major issues. And one of the major issues that I had with him in 2019 and 2018, and in the beginning of this season, he's actually done a pretty good job of improving, surprisingly. You know, when you look at the box scores, you think, oh, improvement from the Jets. You fucking crazy? Just take a look at his footwork here. This is a big problem for Sam Darnold early in his career. This twinkle toe-y kind of footwork. Just, I'm not confident. Ugh. Just not, his feet aren't where he wants to throw the ball. This is week 1 against the Bills. That's definitely not how you're taught to throw the football. And it ends up being an inaccurate incompletion. Let's go to a play last week against the Seahawks. Here he's going to be under pressure. They're going to bring it pretty much the house. But look how calm he is with his feet now. Under pressure, anticipate this dig on the dagger concept. Bang! Hits it for a first down. I thought that was third down. It's actually 2nd and 4. But you can just see the development a little bit in an issue that he had. This would have been twinkle toe Sam Darnold back then. But look how composed he is in the pocket.
He looks like a veteran right there.
And, you know, you're going to look at the box score of that Seahawks game and say there's no positives from that game. It's the worst, you know, arguably one of the worst games in Jets franchise history. But there are some positives. Here's early in the season against the 49ers, right? And then this is just the flashes that Sam Darnold shows you. Not only has he improved his footwork, he gives you flashes every game. You know, this throw was around the Instagram pages. This is beautiful. Escapes the pass rush. Off-platform throw across his body. That was a bad whistle, but just look at this. This is what Sam Darnold, this is what you want him to be. Free rusher. Escapes the pocket. Look at this throw.
That play always still amazes me.
This is just the talent that Sam Darnold has. That is unbelievable. Touchdown to Braxton Berrios. And the other thing, too, is that Sam Darnold is pretty good with unblocked defenders. Oh, wait, this is the wrong example here. This is supposed to show second. But just look at this throw to Brashad Berryman, right? It ends up being dropped. Look at that ball placement.
Mm-hmm.
This is in large part due to his improved footwork. It's not perfect, but he's much more composed than he was. last year and even the beginning of the season. Like, obviously, sitting down under Joe Flacco and just looking at the tape that he sees, just riding the bench for a little bit, has really improved his game, surprisingly, because it's not going to show up on the stat sheet. And then here's the example with the unblocked defender that we're going to get. Just look at the anticipation. These are the flashes that you see. He's going to throw it to Berrios. He throws it before Berrios is turned around. 3rd and 5, conversion. He shows you the flashes, man. You know, the other positives I saw from Sam Darnold that I just don't really have time to show. When he sees a rush, he can escape it. He's absolutely astounding at maneuvering the pocket. And he can make all the throws when he sees them, for the most part. You know, he has ball placement issues on the sideline, but aside from that, he can make all the throws. The other thing is that a lot of the throws that he makes that are good are drops by his receivers. Perryman has not done a good enough job, especially vertically, for this football team.
No.
Denzel Mims is a guy that is really only coming on as like lately, and even then, he's not good at stretching the field vertically. He's very good underneath and is athletic with the ball in his hands, but can't stretch the field. And just the overall dysfunction that this guy has to work with is ridiculous. And that's what makes this analysis really hard, is that who would succeed in this team? When you are 0-13 and are this bad, it's never on one guy. It's everyone that's bad, right? And
Yeah, it starts at the top and then at the very bottom, for the Jets. They are just horrific in all aspects of the games. But at the end of the day, like, there are some bright spots, and you can see it in Sam Darnold. It's just Jesus. Like, I don't know who you really all blame. I think you just, like, at the end of the day, you just keep it in simple and say they're just bad. They're
yeah,
just
they
a
are
bad
bad.
team.
Now, I think my overall thoughts on Sam Darnold, the kid's got talent. He's really talented, and he's younger than Joe Burrow. But my biggest problem with
I always
Sam
forget
Darnold,
that.
what's up?
I always forget that he's, like, still really young.
23 years old. Isn't that nuts?
Yeah.
The biggest problem, though, that I have with Sam Darnold is that the things that he's bad at are kind of important for winning football games. He hasn't been able to stretch the field and hit those plays when they're open that really change field position and create touchdowns for your team, which is kind of important when you're a quarterback, especially nowadays with more points being scored. You kind of need to be able to stretch the field. And the other thing is just with this ball placement, it leads to turnovers. So, like, his biggest problem is that he's not, at least this season, has not been creating these long plays to score you points and change the field position. And then when he screws up, it's really bad and it's a turnover. It's like, if I need to win a football game, can I really trust this guy? And I've been talking with my buddies about this. It's like, who would I rather have, Sam Darnold or Daniel Jones, right? Two quarterbacks I've been pretty critical of. And if I need to win a football game, it's Daniel Jones. I don't care that Daniel Jones doesn't have the talent that Sam Darnold has and the flashes that Sam Darnold has. But at least with Daniel Jones, he can win. He can at least win me football games. With Sam Darnold right now, yeah, he's on the worst team in the league by far, but his big problems aren't helping you win at all. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
true.
can get him to convert some 3rd and longs and get him to move the field a little bit, but like, in terms of plays that win me or lose me football games, he's bad at both.
True, but, like, for Darnold on his, like, think about it like this. When Josh Allen was picked to the Bills, if him and Sam Darnold flip-flop spots when we're getting picked, Josh Allen's not leading this Jets team to to the playoffs on a consistent basis or making them a contender. Like, does Sam Darnold, if he went to a team like Buffalo, good management, good young coach, better offensive scheme, better offensive weapons around him, so it doesn't make it to him where it seems like he has to do everything in one play. Now, I think it'd be a little different. I think it'd be a little different. for the Jets, I don't know if like they're really teaching them what's wrong with them or what's right with them, or like is he even, or that might just be on Sam Darnold. Still, like he doesn't totally understand the aspect of the game, you know?
I'll give you that. The Jets have failed with him in his development, and it's really tough to see. And let's just go through the moves that this management has made, and a lot of it is on their former general manager Mike McCagnon, right? First, first and foremost, the decisions I disagree with back in 2018, and once again, hindsight is 2020. But firing Todd Bowles, I never liked. I've always thought that Todd Bowles is a great coach. I think that he should be in the running for another head coaching job. Yes, he's not this sexy, oh, I'm an offensive guy, and I can understand why the Jets wanted Adam Gase. Now at the time, everyone consensusly thought that Adam Gase was a bad hire, but they wanted to have him to develop a young quarterback, which is just
Hmm.
hilarious to say, by the way.
It's really hitting the nail in the coffin.
They let Demario Davis walk. They trade up for Sam Darnold, right? Okay. 2019 rolls around, and what are the moves that you make? You get rid of his favorite target in Robbie Anderson. And the only draft capital that you spend to help out your Jets offense is pick up a blocking tight end in the third round, and I believe Trenton Cannon in the sixth round. The rest they spent on defense. Is that what you do when you just traded up for your young franchise quarterback? You're going to put no help around him? It's not like the Jets offense was elite either. We always they did not have the talent on that side of the football.
Yeah.
And by
I'm trying.
2019 draft, it's too late. You draft a left tackle who's been inconsistent. He doesn't help you today, he helps you tomorrow. Same thing with Denzel Mims. He doesn't help you really too much today, he helps you tomorrow.
Yeah. It's true. And I think that really falls on the Jets. And that's why I fault the Jets more than I do the Sam Darnold, because the other than Dave, the Jets jetted this thing up with him and just not providing him the best aspect. I mean, also the last 2 years too, he battled mono for a while. And then when he came back, I understand the Jets had like the one of the easier schedules in NBA and NFL, but they did finish 7-9 when I think they were like 2-7 or something like that. So
He
like
went 7 and
there's
6 as a starter last year.
yeah, so there was promise there. He's been banged up this year. We
Playing on a
seen him.
shoulder injury right now.
Yeah, like the same shoulder injury that he got on that Thursday night game from the Broncos, right?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, so
He could have easily sat the rest of the season out, and it might have really helped him out. Because
yeah,
let's just move into it real quick. What is the future for Sam Darnold? He's probably going to be traded because I
yeah, he's going to be traded
but what are
easily.
his trade destinations, right? What are we looking at for a scenario for a team trade? I'll start it off quick because I think that the best chance for him to be a starting quarterback again is there are a bunch of teams that are going to need a quarterback. The Colts are probably going to need a quarterback. The Steelers probably need a quarterback. Everyone's rumoring a team like the 49ers might look at a quarterback, right? If you have all these teams that need a quarterback, maybe the Saints too, there's only so many quarterbacks in the draft, right? Because the Jets are going to be taking one, the Jaguars are going to be taking one and two. The Washington football team is definitely going to be in the market for a quarterback. I just saw
Yeah,
reports today that the Lions might move off from Stafford, which I don't know how much I buy because I think that would be up to the coach and general manager that they hire whether they move off of Stafford or not. But if come draft time, right? One of these teams that needs a quarterback, whether they get jumped in the draft or, it's just the draft. It's wild. No one knows what's going to happen during the draft. And all of a sudden, a team is sitting at the end of day one without a quarterback, and they're there on day two saying, well, we could trade for Sam Darnold. We could trade a second round pick for him. I think that that's probably the most realistic scenario where he finds a trade partner is that a team is sitting there on day two, whether all of the quarterbacks are gone or they didn't like the quarterbacks that are on the board or whatever, or they just had Sam Darnold rated higher, that team goes in and trades for Sam Darnold. I think the other
yeah,
situation is almost, this is going to sound cliche, but the Ryan Tannehill route, right? Like a team trades for him. I think the Panthers could be a team like this, a team even like the Titans or the Vikings. Now, I'm not sure about their cap scenarios because that's the big problem with Sam Darnold is that you get 1 year to decide whether you're picking up his fifth year option or not and
yeah.
extending this guy. And that's the problem with this second situation is like, okay, what about, you know, I think that the team like this would rather just draft one, but regardless, he goes in, he sits under a veteran quarterback. And I like the Panthers just because Teddy Bridgewater is a guy that hasn't been able to consistently stay healthy. So he'll get some snaps to show whether he's got it or not after sitting. He has an off season and a little bit of the season to learn the offense, and he has his shot. But I think those are really the two only realistic scenarios that he finds a trade partner, unless the price is just drastically low to trade for him.
Yeah, I definitely think that he will be traded to a team because a team will see an upside, and I like the Tannehill comparison to him because both have been first round picks. Tannehill wasn't as high as Sam Darnold, but if you get him under like a better system and maybe a veteran quarterback, especially like if it was a team something like the Panthers that are showing very good promise for years to come. And Joe Brady, what you've seen from Joe Brady in his very short tenure as a coach now. He has a lot of promise, especially like developing a quarterback in the passing game, because you saw how Joe Burrow has benefited, and Teddy Bridgewater in that passing game attack looks pretty stout. You put a guy in there like Darnold in there, and he's able to finally live up to his talent. Now that could be very scary, but it just depends what team really puts on him, because I know everybody's going to try to say the 49ers want him. Is it the
I don't think he
49ers like
fits the 49ers, though.
that? But that's going to be the thing. Everybody's going to say the 49ers are on. Well, the 49ers should get him because well, and I still don't think they're going to move away from Jimmy G. I'm sure that Shanny's not going to do that yet.
Not only that, so let's just talk about teams like the 49ers, like the Steelers, right? Teams that need quarterbacks. The
Bears.
problem is that, okay, the Bears, I don't really know their cap situation, but for the 49ers and the Steelers, they got a whole lot of guys they need to pay. And if I'm the general manager of one of those teams, the last thing I want is a quarterback that I need to pay a year from now. I would rather give up much more draft capital to get because you're trading for a project. Sam Darnold is a project. He is not a win now quarterback. So not only are you trading for a project that you have to pay sooner than a draft pick, you give up more draft picks for another project, right?
Yeah, just give me someone in the draft that I get a project for four or
Yeah, I
five
don't have to
years.
pay him until 5 years down the road.
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
still a
yeah,
project.
I
And
agree
that's
with
why I'm
you.
saying the only scenario that one of these teams I think really wants to trade for him is if come draft time, whether they want to trade up and they're unable to, or the board doesn't fall the way they want to. Maybe they have their eyes on a guy like Mac Jones and he goes a little bit earlier than expected. Or maybe like a Trey Lance is on the board, but the team doesn't think he fits or doesn't like him. Okay, maybe then when you're sitting there day two, you think, okay, let's put together a package that we can get for Sam Darnold. We'll take the risk on him because the draft is not falling the way we want it to. I think that's really the only way that one of these teams wants to get him. Because if I'm a general manager, I don't want to have a quarterback that I have to pay a year from now.
Hmm.
I'd rather take a project that I can develop myself and pay 5 years, 6 years down the road. So if I'm the Steelers, I can pay TJ Watt. I can pay maybe a Juju Smith Schuster, a Claypool, whoever, all the talent on the defensive side of the football, a Minka. We just got all this talent. And what? I'm going to trade draft picks and salary cap for Sam Darnold. The only way I'm doing that is if I know that Sam Darnold can help me win football games, which I don't think you know that Sam Darnold can help you win football games now. And not only that, if I think that if I want a quarterback that can help me win games now, why not just sign Matt Stafford? If he moves on from the Lions, I'd rather sign Matt Stafford than get Sam Darnold. I'd rather try and get whoever is in free agency that is a more veteran quarterback. Yeah, he's not as talented, but I'm trying to win football games. I'm not trying to develop a quarterback if I'm one of these teams. And if I want to develop a quarterback, I'll fucking draft one.
Hmm.
That's the other big problem with Darnold is just the situation around him is really wacky. Like when you compare Rosen, a guy that has less talent, a lot of people would say, It's at the time that he got traded, at least, maybe not during the draft, but at the time he got traded, you didn't give up any money for him. Yeah, you gave up a second round pick, but you didn't have to pay the guy. He was just he was a developmental guy. Sam Darnold, you got 1 year, you got to pay him or not, and then he's in free agency.
Yeah,
So
on the other hand, Rosen had what, like 3 or 4? Yeah, he had like 3 or 4 years left on
yeah, you
his
got traded
contract.
1 year after you got drafted. So you got
Yeah, that's
3
right.
years, and then that fourth year you can pick up his option. So Sam Darnold, uh, I just think the big issue with Sam Darnold, yes, he has the talent. Yes, he's shown a lot of good, but his flaws are really bad flaws for if you're trying
Hmm.
to win, which is kind of the point of playing. And we just have to be realistic with ourselves. He's closer to Mitchell Trubisky than he is to Aaron Rodgers right now.
Yeah,
But I think he can turn it around. I think that he's got the talent to. When you compare him to other bust guys like a Mark Sanchez or Mitchell Trubisky or whatever, he's got way more talent than those guys. But it's just
he just
about
needs
getting a
the right
system that
team to take
believes
a
in him.
shot on him.
Yeah, he needs to
That's
be
what
in
it
the right
is.
team. And that's the problem, is that I feel like his whole contract situation and what you have to give up for him, it's just going to be tough for him to get into one of those situations with a team that can believe in him. Because if I'm a GM, especially with how good this quarterback class is looking, I just rather draft a quarterback.
Yeah, I would
There's been
too.
a proven method that you can win if you get a really talented rookie quarterback on a rookie deal. You can just pay everyone and have a great championship window. You don't get that anymore with Sam Darnold, and I think that's the main issue. Got anything else to
Definitely
say on
agree.
Mr. Darnold?
No, I think I'm good on Darnold. I was trying to come up with like a little Colin Coward, another example of him, and I thought I came up with one, but like I don't know if it's. I don't think
All
it's
right,
good
well,
enough.
let's move on. See, now you can see the current topic in the bottom of the screen. This is sweet. Um, as it says on the bottom of the screen now, we're going to be moving on into the number one seed in the NFC. We kind of hit on the AFC the past couple of episodes, but what about the NFC? The Saints were in the lead, and they just lost a brutal game to the Philadelphia Eagles and Jalen Hurts. They weren't able to put up any points in the first half, almost came back to win it, but now the Packers control their destiny, a team that really seems like they've put it all together now. Steed, I'll put this one on you first. What's going on with the number one seed in the NFC? Are the Packers frauds like you've always said? Are they going to hold on? What's going on here?
It just seems always the Packers are getting like the easy schedule. But because like the Packers just had to play the Eagles, but the Eagles started Carson Wentz. Like, what if Jalen Hurts plays against the Packers? Well, maybe something different. But if I had to choose like who's going to win who's going to get this one seed, who's going to get this bye, I hate to say it, I still don't think they're going to make the Super Bowl. But I think it's going to be Green Bay just because the Saints' schedule looks still pretty tough. They can play the Chiefs this week, and I'm not entirely too confident they come out of that game. One, because it's the Chiefs, they could win that game easily. I mean, that might be a Super Bowl this might be a Super Bowl type of kind of game. Like we could see this Super Bowl, but based off the rest of the schedule, and the Packers are playing good ball now. Like Aaron Rodgers is going to be top 3 MVP. He has looked very good under the second season under LaFleur's system, and I never had a problem with LaFleur's system. I think it's very good. I just at the end of the day, they don't wow me. But yeah, I hate to give it to them unless like the Rams make some noise. But like you need like a loss from the Packers, and I'm trying to see their schedule.
They've got the Panthers this week, Titans the week after, and the Bears.
All right,
So a
so
pretty favorable schedule.
yeah, very favorable. They could, unless like the Titans, I could see beating them, and then maybe like rivalry upset, like week 17, the Bears beat them, but like I highly doubt
I don't
that.
know. I feel like the Packers just kind of own the Bears.
Yeah. So I mean I think like you have to put the Packers at your favorite right now.
Yeah, I think the Packers are easily the favorite. Um, the Saints, man, that was just such a rough loss for that team.
Yeah.
They definitely have the tougher schedule, I think, as well, because the Packers' schedule the rest of the season is just really favorable. Yeah, they could lose to the Titans, but even if they do lose to the Titans, I think that they can still easily get the 1 seed just because then the Seahawks or the Saints would have to just win out, or Seahawks and Rams would have to win out. I'm not sure the Saints can win out. I think that we've just kind of see some flaws with them, as well as they have to play the Chiefs this week, which is just the toughest football game you can play. So yeah, the Packers definitely have to be the favorite, and man, I it's just crazy to see that they're getting the 1 seed. Shout out to Aaron. He's been playing some phenomenal football.
Yeah,
Um,
that's where that week 3 like win against the Saints really comes back and hurts the Saints.
yeah,
Um yeah, even though you were playing shutout ball after that point, I'm pretty sure yeah, they won 8 in a row, you were looking better than the Packers, you had better odds than the Packers to win the Super Bowl. And you slip up one week, it happens, like Eagles are a good team when they have a quarterback that can move the ball. But like it all comes back to that week 3 loss. And that's the reason why you probably won't clinch. And that just sucks for them. And again, like I just feel like the Packers, like the last 2 years now, just have had an easier schedule. Like, am I wrong on this? I mean, yeah, they've beaten some teams.
they've played some tough games though. The thing is that's carrying the Packers is that they just started off the season really hot and got that win against the Saints early on, like you said, and were able to just kind of ride some of that early season momentum. Yeah, they had some rough games, like they lost to the Colts. They had a close one against the Jaguars. They lost to the Vikings. They had a really brutal game against the Buccaneers, but that first 4 games of the season, they were just able to kind of just keep the momentum going and just win the football games they needed to win. The only one that you can really argue is that Vikings game that they lost. Other than that, they've won every single football game that they were really projected to win. Because yes, the Buccaneers, that was a rough loss, but that was at the time an even football game. Same thing with the Colts. The Colts Packers, that was an even football game, and the Packers kind of just took their foot off the gas pedal in the second half, and it came back to bite them in the ass. But yeah, they do have a bit. The thing about their schedule is that their division is just so weak right now.
Yeah, their division's bad, Like I'm trying to I mean, they start off the first week, they played the Vikings, right? High scoring game. Game definitely went over. But like we're talking about the Vikings. This is a Vikings team at the time that started off 1-5. It's not the Vikings team that beat them the second time around and now is one game back out of the 7 seed. Then you played the Lions. Okay, Aaron Rodgers and the Packers, ever since he's been the quarterback for the Packers, has ruled the Lions, and the Lions have sucked against the Packers. They've been terrible, and also Lions are terrible. And here's another stat for you: like their first 4 games a year, two out of those 4 teams don't have their head coach anymore. You know, because
Yeah,
week 4 being the Falcons.
and
We
to be completely honest, questionable head coaching teams like so the Jaguars, Dougie Marrone could be on the block. I know a whole lot of people aren't a fan of Matt Nagy, ourselves included. So that could be another 2 games there. Like,
They played the Texans already. They played all 3 teams that had their head coach fired this year.
yeah. Um, but
Granted,
I
they
mean, at
won
the end
all
of
of
the
them.
day, they won the games they needed to win, though. Easy schedule or not, It's about winning football games. And
They played a
I do agree
49ers
with
team
you.
that was injury riddled. You played a
Yeah,
Jags
that was
team.
I'll give you that. That was bullshit because the 49ers got shafted by COVID. Their entire lineup on offense was out of the game. Their best player they had on offense was Richie James, which was honestly, it was just a brutal football game to watch. They had nothing there to work with. But I don't.
I mean, dude,
I do agree with you a little bit that the Packers have always been a team that lighted up in the regular season against teams that are worse than them. But what's going to happen when they have to beat teams that are just as good at them back to back to back to back? Are they going to
I,
be able to pull it off this season? Are they going to be able to drive home off of a good regular season, or are they just going to pull a Packers and when they play a team that's better than them, just choke?
yeah, I don't know. Here's another little stat for you because I'm just churning out Packer stats. Is that they've played 3 teams this year that are currently in the playoffs. They're 1-2 against, and that first one being the Saints. And the
That's
Saints
been the
had
narrative with this Packers team for a while. It's just we know they're a good football team, but what happens when someone else punches them in the mouth that's just as big as and bad as they are?
yeah.
Like it just seems like the Packers in some of these bigger games just ask Aaron Rodgers, carry us. Carry us, Lord Rodgers, to the promised land. And you can only do that so much, especially like you look at the Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes is really good. We all know that. But look at what they do every season to put great players and great system around him. Yes, I think the Packers' weapons are underrated. They have Devontae Adams. Their running backs are really good. They got a great offensive line. But I agree with
And
the
they
skepticism that
system.
like you could have done a little bit to really make that push to take your offense from, yeah, we're really freaking good. Aaron Rodgers is really good to, oh, we're at that Chiefs level to where it doesn't matter what defense we're playing against, we'll have some good matchups. It just feels like every season for the past however many years since they made it to the Super Bowl that this offense is always on Aaron Rodgers' shoulders. And if he doesn't carry them, then this team is not able to win the football games against the good teams.
Well, yeah, I know. Like I know Jordan Love and AJ Dillon. They're contributing a lot to the team right now. And I know this your first or second round pick from last year, and they were great picks. You really hit on them this year. But I know a couple receivers in that draft, like like a Justin Jefferson or something, that would be like really perfect for this team right now,
T.
especially making them
Higgins.
even more of a threat. Yeah, I mean, dude, we could have gone on and on. They could have got us still in the third round, but I don't even know who they took in the third round. Probably some tight end, that's not even on the roster.
Yeah, well, uh, it's just the Packers, man. But I'll at least give him credit. If Jordan Love pans out, it was a good pick. I'm not as mad about the Jordan Love pick as other people are. It's just
I'm not mad, but like I really don't understand the AJ Dillon one. You
I
know,
I don't know. I see both sides of the coin. It's like
you're
I
asking
can
your
I
second
can
round.
agree you're drafting for long term. At the same time, man, like if you want to win the Super Bowl, because you only have so many windows, and Aaron Rodgers so many years left. Like man, and
Might
especially
be
with how
like,
much talent there was in this receiver class. This is like the deepest receiver class in like the past 20 years. And we knew that before the draft. We knew that coming in. There was a record amount of receivers picked, and they did not pick one.
yeah, that's
I don't
why
know.
like I just don't. I like maybe I would like their team. They took a couple of those receivers, and Devontae Adams and Lizard and all of them had like, like a top notch receiver from college last year come in here and like help carry the load.
No, I
Or is that
completely agree.
just
I mean, I would have taken a receiver probably. But I'm not as mad about the Jordan Love pick if it pans out, but it's definitely questionable. And if this team ends up losing like they did to the 49ers last year in the playoffs, then everyone's going to be pointing, well, what the hell were you doing? We had a great roster. We could have made it a little more complete, but I,
the Jordan Love pick? Just because I don't think Jordan I'm not saying Jordan Love is going to be a bust and a horrible pick. That's why I'm not saying I don't like the pick. I don't like the pick because you just went 13-3, was in the NFC Championship as a 2 seed, but yet, to really say, "Oh, we're almost there. We just need a couple more pieces," is to trade up and take a quarterback that's not even on your roster right now.
Yeah, I completely agree,
Like,
man. I completely agree.
I mean, we like times are getting old, dude. Some of these quarterbacks like Big Ben, Matt Ryan, Aaron Rodgers, Philip Rivers, like, dude, their career, like 5 years from now, these guys won't be playing. But
Yeah, time's ticking, man. Time is ticking. But let's get into the next one. It's a sad one as a Raiders podcast. I mean, not necessarily sad, but it's annoying, I guess. I don't know. Um, our Raiders fired Paul Guenther, defensive coordinator. I don't think anyone's necessarily surprised. This Raiders defense, like we've been saying for multiple weeks, is the problem with this football team. You let the Jets run for over 200 yards against you, which I think speaks volumes to the struggles that they've had on that side of the football. And I mean, we've been saying it for a while. The defense is really young, and they're just a couple pieces away from really having that complete defense, that complete team, and it's really holding the team back. Steed, I'm curious as to what your thoughts are as the Raiders podcast on if this is a good move, bad move, what we think it really holds for the Raiders in the future.
good move because at the end of the day, he was to get the job done. Our defense, our Raiders defense, it been playing terrible. Been playing terrible, holding back this team to its to a bigger quality of play they can get with this offense. But when the defense is just playing this horrendous, I think a change is good because who do they hire again? Is it Marlon Gnarly? Marlon
Rod
Nelly?
Marinelli,
What's
I
it?
think he's already on the staff or they're really looking into him. I actually like Rod Marinelli, former Cowboys defensive coordinator. I think that as we can see with the Cowboys defense right now, one of the holes that was left when Marinelli was gone is that he's a kind of guy that will really get a defensive line going. His big thing for his defensive lineman is no loafing, which is basically if you're out there as a D lineman, you're playing and you're busting your ass every second that snap is going. Even if the play gets behind you, he's really the preacher of your D lineman. You better run towards who the ball carrier because you never know if you're going to be able to make a tackle. And I think you saw
Mhm.
that with the Cowboys back in the day. And back in like 2016, 2017, he really rebuilt the Cowboys defensive line with a bunch of nobodies. They had one of the deepest defensive lines at the time. So this has been a problem spot for the Raiders. They've been getting beat up front. I mean, you let the Jets run for 200 freaking yards. Come on, give me a break. Um,
Hey man,
I think
Adam Gase really game planned around that game.
that I think that the problems that I have with Marinelli, at least when he was on the Cowboys, they were a defense that didn't really like to disguise much. They kind of just lined up and expected to be better than the opposing team. And when they lost some talent on the defensive side of the football, their defense struggled. But I do think that he can be big for not the Cowboys, the Raiders defense, especially improving their defensive line that does have some talent. I mean, Max Crosby looks like he's one of the better young pass rushers. Maybe he can develop him and really start developing some of the other pieces on their front seven to where they can start stopping the run because it's just been such a big problem for them this season is that teams have been able to just run the ball down their throat on top of the fact that good passing offenses have been able to tear them up. They really don't have a competitive advantage on
Identity.
that side of the football right now. Yeah, they don't have an
Yeah.
identity. And it's been killing their football team. It really has.
Yeah, and that's why I like the fire also. It's just because maybe this change in, but he brings might be a little different and can help out in scheme ways, and he can find holes that they just weren't picking up on before. Now this Thursday, the game they play tomorrow, I know this will be released Friday, but I'm pretty sure they got 4 starters on that defense out. too already. Like I
Yeah,
think I read somewhere
it's gonna be
today.
rough treading for the rest of the season. The Raiders, they've lost their form that they had in the beginning of the season, a lot of the momentum. I mean, dude, you let the Colts put up 44 points on you, man. Like, yeah, the Colts, they're a good football team. They're hot. They're really well coached by
The
Frank
Colts
Reich.
have been putting up points on everybody though lately. But
Yeah,
yeah, I
they've
mean,
been a hot
still
football team, but at the same time, man, like, there's never an excuse for any team. I don't care who you're playing up against for putting up 44 points on you. There's never oh, we got beat. Like, dude, they got beat and then some. And I mean, the Raiders, like, their offense was moving all a little bit. Yeah, they had some bad turnovers that have really been plaguing the football team lately for those guys, but the defense needs to step up and start making plays too. And it's just really killed the football team in a whole lot of games this season. They've been the side of the ball that's just been getting exposed. And I just we need to see this Raiders defense that was in like that second half of the Saints game early in the season where they're playing physical. They're bending a little bit but not breaking, coming up with some big turnovers. And
yeah.
I think that they really need a defensive coordinator that can rally this young defense because that's the other problem is that they just have a really young defense and they can also just develop a lot of these players that because they need to both bring in talent and develop the talent that they have because they have some good players in that defense. The defense should not be playing as poorly as it is. They have some talent on there. It's not complete, but they have some talented players and they need to develop the talent that they have as well as bring in some more. But we've been saying it for a while. This team is a good defense away from being really scary and possibly competing with a team like the Chiefs or the division. I mean, they played the Chiefs team well because their offense was able to move the ball consistently. If they're able to develop even just, an average defense, this could be a team that starts making some moves and is around the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely need to start making moves now as we wind down to the last 3 games of the year, and they're in the tightly contested AFC. But yeah, I mean, like if they could find themselves a little good niche and just give them a good defense, their team would easily be put up there in more of the elite category of teams. We've seen them play the Chiefs tough twice, beating them once, but last time they played the Chiefs, that was the last good football game this Raiders has played. Since then, they've gotten blown out against Falcons, barely escaping the Jets, and got beat last week. So, you know, we talked about it after the Falcons lost. Maybe this team was, kind of doing what they did last year, like going underneath the radar, not and shocking a few people. But now, like, it's kind of looking that they're just fading away once again. But like that's why I like the Fire because maybe the Fire wakes up call and gets them going for the last 3 games because the season is still all there. Still got still got 3 more games and the biggest games of your life, and I'm pretty sure like the games they play against too are against playoff like teams too.
Yeah, I mean they got a shot here still. The season's not over, like you said. Yeah, you've been playing poorly and it's a really bad time to not be playing well, but you win these next 3 games, you probably have a playoff spot at the end
Yeah,
of the day. So the Raiders, they are in the playoffs now. Their playoffs start now, and it starts with the Chargers, another team that's been struggling. I'm not a huge fan of the matchup necessarily, but you got to come out here and play the best football of your life because you still have a shot. But I want to move on to another team that's kind of struggling, but on a different side of the football. The Steelers, man, their offense really looked poor against the Bills. They weren't able to move the ball consistently, especially in the second half against the Washington football team. Um, let's start with you, Steed. Are you concerned with the Steelers' inability to move the football on offense right now?
I could sure. I think I'd be a little worried, yeah, because the offense is in a little rut right now where you really can't get anything going. Now, through duration of a season, things are going to happen. You got to remember you started off 11-0, and most teams don't win 11 games in 2 years. So, and I think that one of the problems with me with your offense right now is just, well, first of all, the lack of the running game. That's been a huge problem, and I think they're putting a lot of pressure on Ben. Dropping back 50 times games, maybe it results in that um, not being able to consistently run the ball. But I think in which, like, you can ask a lot out of Ben. You've done it before, but like I think asking a lot of them right now might like is I'm not saying hinder the offense, but like it just doesn't feel as smooth as it was before. And also the drops are very apparent. The receivers got to like I don't know if you know this, but like, they're all big on dancing on TikTok and stuff, maybe less dancing and maybe a little more catching is all I'm saying. And you might find yourself on the other side of the scoreboard than you have been in the last 2 weeks. But I would be a little concerned. You're still going to be a top two team in the AFC. I don't know if you're going to get that one seed bye now, because I don't think the Chiefs are going to lose for the rest of the year. But as long as you don't lose any more games, like you would still have the over on the Bills because the Bills lost 3 games, and you get an easy week this week. You get the Bengals, so
Yeah. Um. So as a Steelers fan, I am not super concerned with the offensive struggles right now. Like you said, the receivers catch the ball, mainly Deontay Johnson and Eric Ebron. You guys, and it's annoying because I like both Deontay and Eric Ebron. I think that they will turn it around. Um, but it's just you got to focus, look the ball in more, and and just catch the freaking thing, man. It is really frustrating. One guy that we should see get more snaps is James Washington. He's really the only receiver right now that's been playing at a high level. And in terms of the run game, I think the Steelers need to go back to a little bit of the more power game where we're bringing in that extra offensive lineman. I want to see a little bit more of Derek Watt in the game as a fullback. I think that
mhm.
we're doing a little bit too much single back stuff. And it's the running game that scares me a whole lot more than anything with this team. I know I didn't necessarily. I'm not sure if I said it on the podcast in the beginning of the season, but I did write a Reddit post on the Steelers subreddit after the Giants game saying, "Yeah, listen, we put up over 100 yards on the Giants, and it looks great on the stat sheet. But the only way this team has really been able to successfully run the football is with momentum in the football game. When we're really grinding a team, when we have the momentum of the football game, we're winning the football game, and that only gets you so far. Like we weren't able to consistently run against the Broncos until at the end of the game we had the momentum. We got a turn. Like then James Conner rips off a long run. The Giants, like their front seven was really playing as well in the beginning of the game, but then we get a couple turnovers, and then all of a sudden that defense is on the field and has to stop run after run after run. The running game has been a problem for past couple seasons, and it really is rough when you start playing up against teams like the Bills that have a better offense than the Steelers. And the
Yeah,
Steelers aren't able to have the momentum all during the game. And when you see like just these physical defenses have been giving us a lot of problems. I think that Ben and that crew, in terms of the passing game, will figure it out. We've seen enough out of the passing game. I think it's just a lot of stupid mental mistakes right now. And if you're going to make them, you better make them now because playoff time we need to clean it up. But the running attack needs to improve 100% if this team really wants to make a run. But I am not as concerned as other people are. The only way I'm really concerned is the running game, but I just think that they need to do a better job of managing the momentum and start playing a little bit more power football, getting a little more play action in there, and trying to stretch defenses a little bit because I think the defenses have been trying to just play very physical and we haven't been able to stretch them out now, which has been kind of a
yeah.
problem. This segment, we'll call it the head coach game, head coach carousel. We're going to take the teams that need a head coach and try to predict the head coach of the team. Steed, we'll start off with your boys, the Falcons. Do you think A, that they'll keep Raheem Morris, or B, go for a new head coach? And if B, who do you think are the best candidates for the job? And you got to pick one.
Well, I still think Raheem Morris is the best candidate for the job. I truly believe in him, and if he was able to find a good OC for them to handle the offense and get it back cranking, I totally believe Raheem Morris could make this a top 10 defense in the league. But that being said, Raheem Morris will be in question for the head coaching, but I think it's looking more and more that the Falcons will do an outside hire and really try to revamp and restart this thing over, and I think they're looking at. I see Eric Bieniemy always in the conversation for the Chiefs. That the one thing about that though is just because could this just be a naggy thing? Because like, how much credit are we actually giving him for the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes and all of them when at the end of the day everybody knows it's Andy Reid's team, it's Andy Reid's offense.
Yeah, but Andy Reid has had some decent coaches. Like Doug Peterson has had success. I do think I think that there are some better candidates, not very many. I would like Eric Bieniemy for the Falcons, though. I think that he's good. I think that he would be a good hire. I think the bigger problem is, are they going to be able to get him?
Yeah,
Because, like,
I
let's be
don't
real.
know.
If you're a Bieniemy, like, I might just stick around the Chiefs for a little bit. I don't know, because like you don't really get around that situation too often. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it'd be interesting because, like, the Texans are definitely going to be the number one choice for a coach when they're looking out there because, well, first of all, you get Deshaun Watson, and
Yeah, that's the big one. You have the quarterback. You don't have to worry about that. You just got to put a good team around him, you know? The
yeah, that
Falcons definitely have a lot more question marks than the Texans do, mainly because Matt Ryan, we don't know if he's going to be the guy long term anymore, you know? It's just he's
and
getting up there.
yeah, and I don't think so. Like, if it's being said, which is true, where Jim Dorsey is the favorite for the GM, I wouldn't be surprised if you don't see Matt Ryan in a uniform next year. I would not be surprised. He's been one more aggressive guys, and he might want his own dude. And that being said, like that's why the Falcons job is a little weird because you you have some decent pieces, yeah, you do, but like a lot of the good players on the team are old. Like Julio's old, Matt Ryan's old. Um, yeah, like the defense, Dion, Grady Jarrett at your as your defense centerpieces. That's good, but like what are you going to do with Ricardo and then like that horrible secondary? So I think it's a lot of questions, but like I think every single team has questions because if they wouldn't have all these lingering questions, then their head coach wouldn't have been fired. So I think Bittemy would be good. And talked about Brian Dabble, like he's Josh Allen is in the MVP conversation too. The Bills' deep offense looks very good. Like from the last 2 years where they've been more of a defensive heavy team, their offense has really contributed. And I think their offense is top five in the league easily. Like this team could be play spoiler to the Chiefs or Steelers is the favorite in the AFC to make a Super Bowl run, so I like him. But other than that, like I'm looking at like the college coaches, that Pat Fitzgerald from Northwestern, the guy from Iowa State, Matt Campbell. I don't know too much about them. Like I know
Who are
they've
you
had.
picking though?
Oh, who
Of
am
all
I
the names,
picking?
who are you picking? Yeah, who are you picking?
I still think that Eric Bieniemy guy is going to go to the Texans or just stay. I feel like we're going to get. I think we're going to get Dabble. I think he's just going to take
I
this. I think we're going to
I
get.
think that right now, Brian Dable, for me, if I was an owner, would probably be the number one head coaching target that I would go after. I think that the schemes that I've seen from the Bills, what they've done to transform that offense is really good. And if you just get a really solid GM behind Dable, then you could really get a team that develops a great offense. Because I do agree with you. I think that the Falcons are going to try and go for an offensive head coach because it's really what the fan base wants. And I think that that's been a team that ever since the Super Bowl has really lost that connection with their fan base. And I think that if you hire a guy like Dable, that it'll really bring that excitement that you kind of lost under Dan Quinn. And if you keep Raheem Morris around or hire another defensive guy, I think that a lot of the fan base would be like, ah, man, this is just the same crap all over again. While I do think that the defensive side of the football is the issue with this Falcons team right now. At the same time, their offense has really taken a step back from the beginning of the season. So I think that Brian Dable would be a great hire for them. But me personally, let's just say I can't get Dable, right? Because I like you, I really like Brian Dable. I think he would be a phenomenal hire. Um, you know, Bieniemy would be all right. Don't get me wrong. I like him. I think he's a good coach. Uh, Joe Brady would be another guy that I would definitely look at as a guy that because I think that with LSU you saw that they were really able to build a top-notch program there. And I mean, they came in to that Panther situation. Everyone thought that they had one of the worst rosters in coming into the season this year, and they were
Yeah.
able to come out and play. Yeah, their record isn't insane, but they've been in a lot of really tough football games. I mean, they gave the Chiefs a run for their money, and they were in that football game. So I think that he's definitely going to get some looks from teams. Um, but I don't know. I still think that this team needs a defense. Um, I think they'll go with an offensive hire though. Let's go on to the Texans. So you like Bieniemy for the Texans, right?
Yeah, like or DeBolt. I just think they'll go offense because they'll try to get like that Sean McVay kind of Jared Goff thing where they want like that coaching tree, like that coaching relationship with the quarterback to be there for a while. You have a transcendent quarterback in Deshaun Watson. Would you want a offensive mind head coach to go along with him? So he can favor him because like you can build a defense, you know, to some point.
Yeah, and I supposedly Deshaun Watson really wants Eric Bieniemy. Um, Andy Reid has endorsed him, saying that he should be a head coach. I think that that would be a phenomenal hire for the Texans because they just need someone that can really just bring in talent to that team. That's a team right now. I see they have some good players, but they just lack talent on both sides of the football right now. Mainly
Yeah,
their defense. Their defense is just bad. You let Trubisky just tear you up last week. Like, come on.
it's the
I think
Trubisky
Eric
show.
Bieniemy would be a great hire for them. Um, and then let's move on to the Lions. Supposedly Robert Sala has been really been looking at by the Lions. Um, I also think that we'll see some more head coaching positions open up. Um, I think the Los Angeles Chargers could be one that opens up. Obviously, the Jets are going to be one that opens up. The
Possibly the
Jaguars and the
Jags.
Bears,
Yeah.
yeah, the Jaguars and the Bears could possibly open up. So I think that the Jets, the Bears, yeah, the Jets and the Bears, I think are really also the Chargers actually too. The Chargers too are can kind of throw a wrench in here because if I'm Brian Dable and I could pick any team to go to, including those four teams that haven't fired their coach, I think the Chargers would be my first choice. I get a sick quarterback that
True.
you could argue is more talented than Josh Allen. You have great pieces on that offense already. You got to fix up the offensive line, which that staff has done in Buffalo. So if I'm Dable, I want to go to the Chargers, and I think that if that position and that job opens up, he's going there. That's the only thing that I have against the Falcons getting him.
Yeah, I feel like the Falcons, like it just feels like we're not going to get that number one guy. I just think like as we've said, the huge turnoff for like getting one of these bigger coaches to come to the Falcons or a team like that is even though he's done great for this franchise and his best quarterback in franchise history is Matt Ryan. I think he's just too up there in age, and I don't think he'll ever get back to a Super Bowl, be honest with you. And I'm going to throw a little shade on him, and I hate to do this, but he's looked like ass in the past month and a half or so. He's not played well. I mean, he threw three crucially picks. Yes, Sunday against the Chargers, lost you the ball game. Threw you a pick that lost you the ball game. So I'm just to be critical of him. I don't think he has anything left in the tank, really. I don't think he does. Now that might be
Yeah,
like
that's rough.
that. And now I'm not saying like Matt Ryan can't still play. He can still play, but like I'm just saying he's going to need a lot of help. It's not like 2016 Matt Ryan where he did have a lot of help and he had a great running game and great offensive mind head coach, but like he would need something like that again because I'm telling you right now, the Dirk Cutter and him thing is not getting it done. And you can put blame on Dirk Cutter. You can put blame on Matt too, because those picks he threw last week were horrible. Were terrible. Head scratchers.
So yeah, I just think right now the teams, if we include those teams that haven't fired their coach but we're expecting them to, if I'm a head coach and I could have my pick of the litter, it's probably Chargers number one, and then tied for two is the Texans and surprisingly the Jets, just because
You get Lawrence.
I get Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
I get Trevor Lawrence, a plethora of draft capital, a lot of cap space. I do think that people are overhyping how bad of a situation the Jets are in. We've seen teams like the Rams with Sean McVay turn around. Granted, Sean McVay is one of the top coaches in the NFL, but at the same time, like, they need to bring in a ton of talent, and I'm not sure that anyone is going to be able to turn them around in 1 year. But it's not like they don't have resources to completely overhaul and turn around the roster in the organization, right?
Yeah. With the Jets, you have a lot of freedom room. Like you go in there and you're getting Lawrence. You've got some draft picks, and like you said, you got some cap or whatever. Like you can make something happen. You in the first year, like if Trevor Lawrence is supposed to be, the best thing since Andrew Luck to come out, then who says that you can't turn around this 0-16 or soon to be 0-16 team and have really hit the draft, get some guys back that like came off the COVID list, like CJ Mosley and them, and then like start contending because like we've seen the AFC East, even though the Bills look like they're legit for a couple years, and the Dolphins are definitely coming up and will give them problems. Um, you're going to have to start contending pretty soon. And when you look at the quarterbacks in your division, once you get Lawrence, is you got the best quarterback. You know, you do.
Yeah, you're easily in terms of talent.
Yeah.
And
So
that makes the job so attractive. Like if they didn't have, we're just gonna assume they have Trevor Lawrence because if they end up with the first pick, like everyone's expecting them to, there's no way you're not taking Lawrence, unless someone offers you a franchise for the pick. They're taking Trevor Lawrence, which just makes the job incredibly attractive because you have Trevor Lawrence and a clean slate. You have a bunch of cap room. You have a bunch of draft picks to turn the thing around. And in terms of a coach that wants to build their legacy, if you're the guy that goes in and turns around the New York Jets, like that is pretty attractive to me. Just the whole like, oh, I get to be the guy that can turn around this 0-16 team with one of the best quarterback prospects to ever come out. Like,
yeah.
man, what better situation to build my legacy as a top head coach
Well,
than
at the end of the
this?
day, it's the Jets. You know,
Yeah, it is the Jets.
it's the
Um,
goddamn Jets. I don't know if
so
I
I
had a
think that the Bears is going to be an interesting one too. I want to move on to the Bears real quick because
yeah.
I am really curious to see what the Bears do. Do they go with another offensive guy? Um, Honestly, it depends though, because it depends. Are you going to be able to keep on to Chuck Pagano? Because if you can keep Chuck Pagano around on the staff, then I'd go with an offensive coach, hands down, like easy. because I need a guy that can do what Matt Nagy was hired to do. Bring in a good quarterback, build an offense around the key defense that they have. I think that Pace, their general manager, is pretty good in terms of just finding talent. He's done a pretty good job of putting talent on that Bears team. They just need someone that can really put it all together.
Yeah.
Um, I'm just wondering what's going to go on there. The Jaguars, though, I'm not sure they get rid of Dougie Marrone just yet. I think that they might just because they're the Jaguars and they want a clean slate and to like build some hype around the team. But in terms of the situation that they're in now, I think that Doug Marrone would be able to develop some talent around that football team. And I'm not sure that they should be so quick to fire him. I know I was critical of him in the past, but after watching him this season, yeah, they haven't necessarily been winning football games, but they're not yeah, they're far away and yeah, they suck and whatnot, but they're at least in football games. They have some talent on the roster. Um, I think more with the Jaguars, you need a culture more than better schemes. And at the end of the day, Doug Marrone, I'm not sure you're going to find someone who's better at developing young players than him. That's the only problem I have with firing him. And that's exactly what you need for that franchise right now, a guy that can develop young talent.
Yeah, I think if I was the Jags, that's a good point because, uh, at the end of the day, it looks like you're gonna get Justin Fields. That's an attraction too. But I wouldn't fire Marone unless I'm getting a top 3 guy. Like, I'm not settling for anyone. I want, like, a big name guy. I want one of the top candidates, and if I can't get him, I'll just stay with my guy and give him another chance.
Okay, so here's what I'm gonna go on and say. Ready? So I'm gonna say Bieniemy. We're both saying Bieniemy to Houston. I'm gonna say Brian Dable to the Los Angeles Chargers. I'm gonna say Robert Sala to the Lions, just because he's been rumored to go there, and I
Yeah,
actually
I
do
like that.
think that he may go there. They got a nice. They have some talent on their defensive side of the ball. I'm gonna say Joe Brady to the Chicago Bears, a team that just really needs an offense. I think that he could go there, and I'm not sure he would go in division to the Falcons, and I'm not sure he necessarily wants. I could see him going to the Falcons though.
I would love him.
Um, the Falcons, I think the Falcons might go with one of those college guys.
Get a
So
college guy?
I'm gonna go Pat Fitzgerald from Northwestern to the Falcons.
Ah,
Um,
dude, that's just so boring.
that it is boring,
Like
but
Northwestern,
the
come on, at least give me someone from an SEC school, like granted Northwestern was good this year and they've been competitive in years past, but like
All right, and I'm gonna say Nathaniel Hackett, offensive coordinator for the Green Bay Packers, who's worked with Aaron Rodgers, is gonna go to the Jets. I think that the Jets are gonna want a guy. I think they're gonna lose out on Bieniemy. I think that they may lose out on Joe Brady as well. They're going to go with Nathaniel Hackett, a guy that has worked with a top tier quarterback in Aaron Rodgers before. He's put together a really solid offense. He gets to go to the Jets, clean slate, and work with one of the best quarterback prospects in Trevor Lawrence. I think that the Jets are going to try and do what Adam Gase was supposed to do, and they're going to try and get a quarterback that can develop a coach that can develop the young quarterback that they're trying to build around. And let's just say that the Jaguars fire Dougie
Dougie.
Marrone. Um, I'm going to put who do we put there? Um, this one, I think the Jaguars might go with the defensive guy. I'm kind of choosing between Patrick Graham and Todd Bowles. Ah,
I can see Todd Bowles
uh,
for some reason.
I could see Todd Bowles. I'm going to go Patrick Graham, though. Let's just go with the guy that hasn't been the head coach before. I'm going to put Patrick Graham. to the Jaguars, but I wouldn't be so sure that they fire Doug Marrone just yet. So that's what mine is. You can go ahead and do yours.
I got one for the Jets because I think the Jets are just going to jet this thing off at the end of the day because they are the goddamn Jets. They're getting Harbaugh. They're the
They're getting
ones that
Harbaugh.
they're the perfect fit for Harbaugh, dude, because it just makes all sense, you know. Take a little cop out, get the fans excited. Okay, well, even though Harbaugh really hasn't had too much success at Michigan, you know, he went to a Super Bowl, had a pretty good record in San
Mhm.
Francisco. Harbaugh back in the NFL with Trevor Lawrence. You feel it? You like it? I mean, I just
I
think
mean,
that'd be a funny
I
pick.
could see that. I could see that, to be completely honest. Because that, the thing is, at the end of the day, the Jets they might want to go with the route of someone that has proven that they can at least run an organization. And while Harbaugh hasn't had success at Michigan, I think part of the problem with his success at Michigan was he was never able to get a quarterback, and B, I'm just not sure he was necessarily as good of a recruiter as the other top schools were.
Well, also the
Um,
thing is that he's had to go through Ohio State as their rival for the last how long he's been there, 4 or 5 years, and he has yet to beat them. And he is just when it comes to playing top 25 teams, he is very unsuccessful. Like he's under 500 against top 25 teams. And when you can't beat your rival, you're going to get crapped on. Now, you might be around the conversation for a good bit, have your team ranked in the teens. But at the end of the day, the college football wants the guy that can get you in the number 4 spot. That's the reason why Nick Saban's been there forever. Reason why Urban Meyer was there at Ohio State forever. Reason why Ryan Day is going to be at Ohio State forever. Reason why Dabo will be at Clemson forever. And Jim Harbaugh is just not that one of those guys. College and NFL are just different. They're similar and different in
Completely
just
different.
ways. It's just like maybe the recruiting aspect. You're right. He's truly not too great at that. But the coaching aspect of the game. If he has a professional team where he can look and draft the players and has a quarterback, when it comes to coaching, Harbaugh is still a really good coach.
I
Game
mean, dude, think
planning,
about it.
game management.
Look at what he was able to do. Him and the OC for the Ravens. What's his name? I can't think of his name, but the current OC for the Ravens was his offensive coordinator with Kaepernick. Man, they were able to put together a really electric offense. Now you get Trevor Lawrence. You get Trevor Lawrence. He's not any average Joe. Like, even comparing him to guys like Jared Goff and Baker Mayfield, former number one overall picks, Trevor Lawrence blows them out of the water. He's in a different
Yeah.
tier, different
Listen,
club than these guys.
Trevor Lawrence has
You
been the number
finally
one
get
pick. He's been the number one pick in this draft since his senior year of high school. I'm just
yeah,
like, everybody knew. Like
and
when
like you finally get Jim Harbaugh, that top tier quarterback that he hasn't had for how many years? Because, like, okay, Colin Kaepernick, when he was playing, was good. He was not a top tier quarterback, though. He was never that, oh, Colin Kaepernick, top 5 quarterback. Instantly from day one, you have a guy that could be in the conversation as a top 5 quarterback. Harbaugh was able to really build a team in San Francisco. I think that would not be a terrible hire. But quickly finish up the other one so we can get into the picks.
like your other picks on there, I kind of just wanted to talk about Harbaugh going to the Jets. I kind of like started off a joke to me, but I kind of, more and more I think about it, I kind of like it.
I don't think it'd be terrible.
Especially,
Do you disagree with any of the other ones? Like, what do you think about the other ones?
I do. It's just that I really like the Robert Salo pick to the
For
Lions.
the Lions?
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
he's
what do
just
you
been
think
rumored
about?
to go there, though.
I think I don't think Joe Brady's coming out just yet. I know he's probably going to get a little buzz, and he definitely deserves so, and he will have a head coaching job one day. But what about Arthur Smith, the Titans OC? Like could he be a guy that does comes into the Bears and does like a complete 180, like where the Titans are this like run heavy team and they're very efficient offense. That could be something different for the Bears where we see them run the ball too much and they are very non-efficient. Every single play in their playbook is trash. I mean, one thing about that though, if he does like to run heavy, they have about 10 tight ends they can set up
Mhm.
and just run the ball down the throat. So that's plus.
Yeah, actually, I wouldn't. I would like that a little bit. I think you're right. Maybe they go for a guy. They try to go for that. Let's make it easy on the quarterback. We have a guy that we like in David Montgomery. Um, you're probably not hanging on to Allen Robinson. You have some. I mean, Cole Kmet has looked pretty good, and you get a year of development under his belt. Maybe you're right. Maybe in the Windy City they decide to go for a more of a run first offensive coach instead of trying to go that traditional route of let's take a quarterback and air the ball out. I mean, it's
I
never
mean, like
truly worked in Chicago.
if you're trying to hold on to Chuck Pagano and all of them and hold on to some of these pieces on the defense, then maybe you go back to like kind of what the Browns are doing, but like a little old school football where you run and pound, hold that time of possession so your defense is never gashed and your defense just goes out there and shuts them down and you win ball games, like 20-7. You're not going to be like the most prolific thing because at the end of the day, it's going to come down to the quarterback and they're going to be stuck with Foles and Trubisky, I'm guessing, unless they draft somebody. But,
They'll
you
probably
know,
draft some. I'd imagine they will.
yeah, like I feel like a Mac Jones or something like that. The kid from BYU might be geared for them, but I don't think they have a first round pick either. So probably gonna have to cash someone in the second round. I'm not too
But
sure.
that's going to be it for the head coaches, though. Let's get into week four. Oh, week 15 picks. Crap. I thought it was week 14. Week 15. Bang. Let's get into the week 15 picks. I'm going to go first with my dog of the week. And I didn't really like many of the dog of the week, to be
Yeah, I don't
completely
either.
honest. Um, I'm not gonna go with the cop out of the Patriots at +2 because that's not even a real underdog. Let's be real. Like now, this is a weird year where teams aren't going to be getting 3 points at home. But let's just go by the standard. If you're a home team versus an away team, you're supposed to be favored by 3 because you're at home, and the Dolphins are only favored by 2. So I feel like that's almost more of an even game. But my dog of the
Hmm.
week, I'm going to be going with a team that just got blown out, a team we were just talking about, the Houston Texans up against the Indianapolis Colts for the sole reason that this is a ball game that historically has been really close. It was really close a couple of weeks ago where the Texans only lost by 6 points, and it's been close just about every matchup for the past 2 or 3 seasons. So I'm just thinking for dog of the week, I'm not really a huge fan of the dogs this week. I'm just going to take a matchup that I think is going to be close. I think the Texans could put themselves in a position to win it, but I do like the spread a whole lot more for this Texans team. Give me a touchdown. I took them at 7.5, so I'm going to be going dog of the week. Give me the Texans with the money line, and I'm going to be taking them with their spread as well. And since they're playing indoors, hopefully they won't have any receivers with the light in their eyes so that they can actually catch wide open touchdowns this week.
That'd be nice. I'm gonna change my dog of the week again. I keep like you said, this dog of the week. The dogs this week are just weird, but I'm going to go a little branch because we got the loser of this game is probably out of the playoffs, and it's the Bears versus Vikings. And I'm going to take the bait. I'm going to say the Bears go into Minnesota and upset the Vikings, taking
Okay.
Bears +3 and plus 155 money line.
Oh, you're
I
taking
don't
the
know.
spread and money line.
Yeah, I do that every week with my dog of the week. I'm going to take it. I'm going to do it.
Oh, just
You
all in on
know,
the dog.
huh?
Just going all in on the dog of the week. I like that.
Oh, that's what you gotta do. You gotta go all in. But
All right.
Let's go Bears.
All right. I'm going to be taking the Chiefs -3 against the
Hmm.
Saints. Um, this is just one of those like I don't know why this spread isn't like -4.5 or -5.
I don't get it
I
either.
took them initially at -2.5, but it moved to -3 real quick. But give me the Chiefs -3. This is just too good of a football team. I'm not sure the Saints offense really has what it takes to keep up with the Chiefs. And this is a team that was able to beat the Dolphins by over 3 points while Patrick Mahomes threw the same amount of interceptions he had the entire season. I doubt that happens again against the Saints, even though the Saints have a great defense. Just give me Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. I think that, this is just that week where they solidify their number one seed in the AFC.
I like that. I'm on the Chiefs as well, so I won't bore you with that. I'm pretty much on the Chiefs every week, but I'm
Yeah.
gonna take your boy.
Not a bad team to be on, though.
Yeah, no, I mean I think they're 0-5 in their last against the spread though, or something like that. I know they're not covering, but they're winning. So I'm gonna be taking your boys, the old Steelers against the Bengals. I know it's a huge spread, 13 points or whatever. I like the final score
I have it
here
as
to be fair.
11.5 here.
I'm just looking at Bovada and they have it at 13. Now,
Oh,
granted, the
geez.
odds are at even, but like maybe you'll move. I mean, if you want to give me 11 and a half, I'll gladly take 11 and a half.
I'll give you 11.5.
I don't know what Bovada is doing, but yeah, I like Steelers here. I think you'll easily put up 30 against the Bengals this week. As you know, you kind of need to wake up. Last 2 weeks have been rough. This is where you can really kind of just like focus and get the offense rolling. Not very high pressure game against a division foe that you beat plenty of times before. And the Bengals suck. Okay, they don't have Joe Burrow. I don't see how they put up more than like 10 points against y'all's defense. So I just kind of like a good old fashioned blowout butt whooping right here. And I'll gladly take my money.
All right, I'm going to be taking another favorite. This is going to be kind of the theme for me this week, probably. I'm going to be taking the Seahawks -5.5. Um,
Okay.
I just don't think that the Washington football team is going to be able to score with their defense again this week. So, um, Alex Smith, I believe, is going to be out as well. Um, I'm just surprised that the Seahawks aren't at least -7 this week. They just destroyed the Jets. I think they're going to get their offense and their season back on schedule. So give me the Seahawks -5.5.
The Seahawks are interesting because you would think that spread's bigger, but for some reason, like, I don't know, dude, the football team. It's just they got that underdog personality. They've beaten some really good teams in the past few weeks. I think that
Yeah, they've
whether
been
they
hot. I'll
like
give them it.
they're 4-1, 5-1 now with Alex Smith. Like this team, but
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'll give them credit, but I think it ends this week.
okay. Um, I think I'm gonna take the bait here. I'm gonna take Dolphins -2 against the Patriots. I don't love this pick. Just this week looks really really funky. But I like the Dolphins to win by a field goal here. Last week they got off to a hot start against the Chiefs, kind of fell off, but their defense was making plays to keep them in that ball game. I think their offense can make it. Their offense just got to figure something out and get on the board. I'm not sold on the Patriots anymore. Like the Patriots are like the weirdest team in the league because any given week they can win, but any given week they can go out there and lose like by 3 touchdowns. So like that's why I just
Yeah.
hate betting against them. It's not because I'm betting against Belichick. It's because I don't know which Patriots team is going to show up. But I'm just thinking that they're not going to show up this week. Their season's over. They're washed. Cam Newton's a bum. He sucks. Dolphins win by 3.
I'm not a huge fan of this pick, but I'm kind of just fading the public here. I'm going to be taking the Browns -4, the Giants. This is a Browns offense that's really hot right now. It's a Browns team in
Mm-hmm.
general that's pretty hot. I just think that I'm not sure that the Giants offense can compete with the Browns offense right now. I can definitely see the Giants covering this line, especially if their defense shows up like they have been. But I just think that if the Browns are able to put up 25 points, I'm not sure that the Giants are going to be able to compete in this football game. So I'll take a Browns team that should be looking for vengeance after a rough Monday night loss against the Ravens. So give me the Browns minus 4.5.
Yeah, that was a heartbreaker for him, man. I hated that for him.
That
Even
is
though
that is a rough loss.
I bet Ravens -3, and I can't believe that covered. But Jesus Christ, I felt bad for him. It doesn't matter. They're still going to the playoffs. My next game I'm taking. Wait a minute, where are the Titans at? Like, I just saw them. Okay, I'm taking
Minus ten
Titans
and a
minus
half
ten and
against
a
the
half.
Lions.
Yeah, I'm taking them. I'm taking Titans minus 10.5. I just like with the Steelers and all that. I'm just liking a good old fashioned butt whooping right here. I like a little,
Mm.
if I don't see the Lions stopping this team on offense, and I don't really see the Lions scoring a lot either. So I think they're going to beat them by like 20 something points. And I'll just take the Titans in the spread. Like some people are saying this could be dog week. I think this week I'm just going to take heavy favorites and see what happens. It might be a good teaser week.
Yeah, I don't know. I was really thinking about taking the Lions plus 10.5. I just think it's too many points. The Lions just played the Packers pretty well. I think that
Yeah, they
this team has
covered.
found. I think this team has found like like a resurgence under Daryl Bevel. Um, I'm gonna fade you here. Sorry, but I'm gonna be taking the Lions. Ah, dude, I just hate picking the Lions. It's just so many points. I'll take the Lions plus 10.5 though.
All right,
It's
here we
just such a
go. Another
bait, but
face
I'll take it.
off.
Um, yeah, I was thinking of. I got to do another classic teaser, so I'll be
Nice.
um I'll be teasing the Packers down to minus 2.5 against the Panthers. I actually kind of like the Panthers spread here. Um, Surprisingly enough. And what team am I gonna add? Uh, I'm gonna take the Cardinals. Just pick them then.
I like that.
I think that people are buying a little bit too much into the Eagles a little bit after. I mean, it was a good win, but I'm just gonna fade the public there, and that's gonna do it for my picks. I don't know about you.
Um, I just want to pick one more in between a couple games. I like these were like on my bubble watch. I think I picked the Cowboys last week, and they hit. But I'm going to take the 49ers this week. 49ers -3 against Cowboys. Like a touchdown win for the 49ers here. Just easy said, done, get it over with. You never know
Apparently,
what
they're
you're going
getting
to get out of
Kittle
the
back
Cowboys
too.
team. Yeah. Actually, I'm going to take another pick. I got a lock for me. A lock. Buccaneers versus the Falcons. I'm taking the under 50.5 points.
Okay, under 50.5 Falcons Bucks.
Yeah, I still think this is just going to be a touchdown game because we play the Bucks tough. But I believe in our defense. Believe it or not, I'm confident in our defense right now, how they've been playing, and not confident in our offense to score points. And you never know what you're going to get out of the Bucks any week. So there you go. I just give me the under. Not a lot of points in this
Falcons
game.
are interesting, man. Home dog, only 14% of people are on them, according to this website I'm on. Um, eh,
Makes sense. They suck.
yeah, it's tough to take the Falcons, man. It is really
Yeah.
tough. Okay, actually,
Oh,
no,
it's
it's
hard.
27% of the public is supposedly on them.
You
But
you don't win too
if
too
that's
many
all
of
your
the times.
picks, yeah, dude, I don't know. I'm just kind of like staying away from the Falcons. Too much variance. It's like every time you bet against them, you get
I
screwed. Every time you bet for them, you get
yeah.
screwed.
Well, I'm
You're
not
never
betting
winning with that team.
against them or with them. I'm just betting the under. Just betting the number, 50.5.
But with
I'm
that
rooting
being
for
said,
both
that's going to
teams.
do it for us here. Um, if you made it this far, thank you so much for listening. We really appreciate it. Um, Also, if you're listening, please subscribe, like, throw some comments if you're feeling frisky. Check out the website. We got the website, Twitter, and Instagram top right. But thank you so much for listening, and peace out.
Deuces.